After live streaming the 0.4 update for 5+ hours, in this video I'm going to tell you about the update, what's good, what's not so good, and what is incredibly depressing when it comes to Assetto Corsa EVO and the state of sim racing. Subscribe so you can then unsubscribe when I tell you you're wrong about force feedback. Click the like button if you want to, and thank you to all our channel members, Patreon members, supporters. Really appreciate the support. Okay guys, here we go. So 0.4, let's say the positives of EVO 0.4 first. The car models, absolutely superb. Graphics look fantastic. Look at Alton Park here, track model looks great. Weather looks like British summer. Very miserable, but very good. Looks really nice, the lighting. Also the car liveries and all the new tracks and stuff, all the content, absolutely fantastic quality. Another big improvement with 0.4 over 0.3, you can now basically just snap catch a lot of slides that would have binned you. The wheels don't seem to just turn off now like they did in the previous version, though they still will auto bin in some situations over curbing and some oversteer situations, but you can much more easily avoid it, and the game is a lot less frustrating to play. So it's quite a significant improvement in basic handling over the previous version of EVO. Then I think the most exciting part is they're now running their online rank system, which at the moment you go through the SimGrid website and they can just launch through the website and then it loads up into the game. But that whole system seems to work quite well when it's not under load and having website issues. But the general structure of it, the design of that, putting you into a race and everything, putting you with people, that seems really good, and I think that'll actually be fantastic once they've polished that up and also built it into the game directly. Obviously this is just a beta, this is only 0.4, we're quite away from 1.0, but I think that multiplayer aspect is really promising and something that I think a lot of people really enjoy once it's actually in the simulator properly. But it also means as well you can now play EVO as a video game, because the AI is terrible, but you can now jump in and do online racing. I think a lot of people enjoy that, so for those with early access there's some value there now from a video game perspective, so that's really good. And well, that's about it really. Unfortunately on the physics side, though the general handling of the vehicles under the limit is really quite natural, the sort of general throttle response, the grip levels, the brake response, the basic handling is really quite nice and more realistic than many games. Like the basic grip levels is a lot better than AMS2 and Project Motor Racing. The cars in this are not floating all over the track in weird ways. Despite that, the handling at the limit is completely messed up. Like you will get basically snap oversteer, you pull it back to catch it, and that's it. It completely lacks the AC1 joyful handling of holding and balancing slip properly. You do have some drift cars in this and you can drift them around and slide them around, but even those feel like you're mostly doing power slides, or you're really doing like ham-fisted, really weird snappy slides rather than elegant drifts that make sense. It's really weird. But with the road tyres on low grip, the drifting is not totally terrible. But where you really notice issues is with any of the actual race cars. Even this Mazda MX-5, the way the grip comes and goes, you can catch it. You're not going to spin like you would in the past. But rather than it being a joyful catch and a bit of a crab walk and a slight drift that you're using to your advantage, it's basically a case of collect the rear as quickly as possible and wiggle the wheel. Like if you play AC1 and then jump into this it feels like it's got very similar physics issues that ACC has. And then what really magnifies this aspect of weird car handling in this title is that there seems to be some kind of physics delay and maybe force feedback delay. It's not my equipment, we don't run any filters, it's in the simulator. I've also got multiple people that I also check this with as well. They're saying the same thing with different wheels. ACC has this problem as well. You don't have input delay, but it's like there's a delay in the physics itself and also a delay in the force feedback. The force feedback's probably in line with the physics between when you're like oversteering, when you're in slip, and when the car's and the grip's coming back to you. It just doesn't behave responsively. And this is just something you only have in ACC and EVO. I don't notice this in AMS1, in iRacing, in AC1, in Live for Speed. You know, it's not in this sort of weird disconnect is only ACC and EVO in this degree. And I don't know what it is, but it feels super broken if you're used to actually being on top of the vehicle. The end result is you actually ironically have to drive this like iRacing, in that you have to drive in a very preemptive way, roll the car into a slide, and then you sort of just deal with, like, catch it if you need to. It's more forgiving than iRacing. So it's a lot easier to drive, especially drive slowly. It's a lot easier to drive than iRacing, but the driving process of this ends up being like iRacing, as opposed to the driving process being like RBR, AMS1 or AC1, where in those sims you drive on top of the car. You can choose to drive preemptively, but you can also drive reactively. In this, you really are having to just drive preemptively, and it's a really soulless and miserable way of driving, especially if you're a fan of AMS1 and AC. And, you know, sometimes driving preemptively, but often wanting to be right on top of the car, balancing that grip. Another aspect, I think, that really doesn't help the actual driving of the vehicles and really being at one with the vehicles is that there's no force feedback for the front end of the vehicle in terms of a range of load that describes the grip of the front tyres. A lot of people mistake the initial suspension compression, which does happen if you're accelerating and then you brake. Initially there'll be a load up and that gives you a tug. A lot of people equate that to braking and front end feel, but that's just the suspension initially compressing. So it does have that, but if you've already loaded up the tyres or you're going through a corner, you will notice that you basically just have a near binary drop off if you massively wash the car out or massively lose the rear, but you don't have a good progressive feel for the front end grip that you get in the original Assetto Corsa, or even in Project Motor Racing if you set up its force feedback properly. And the reason why that's significant is that it's one of the biggest force feedback cues to let you know how fast you can go into a corner, if you should be getting on the brake more, or on the throttle, or turning. You know, it really lets you know if you're on the limit or not when you're a faster driver. It's not about not spinning, it's about telling you the state of the front of the vehicle. ACC didn't have it, as I say, and it's what makes it totally joyless to drive if you're aware of that feel. It's night and day in AC and even PMR. You know, that being able to feel that, and it blows my mind that Kunos, I think, don't understand this, or they don't get it. And it blows my mind even more that there's a lot of people that are seemingly completely unaware of the importance of being able to feel this range of load for the tyres gripping the road, and how that then affects driving. You can actually set up AC1 force feedback with a script to remove that front end feel, and then you can see how detrimental it is to the driving and how it makes it really hard to know if a car's going to stick through a corner, or if you need to be going faster or slower, or what you need to do as a driver. But yeah, as I say, the thing that what's really depressing, we live stream this, and this has the same sort of issues that ACC has, but ACC masks them due to traction control, ABS, and just GT3 cars. Basically, this has the same problems as ACC. Now, the issue is, I pointed out all this stuff with ACC years ago. As a result, people take the piss out of me for my front end feel, and me apparently not being a good enough driver to understand ACC, and it's my equipment, whatever. We pointed it all out very clearly, and we were just mocked. Fine, okay. You now have people like Max Verstappen saying, oh, they don't like ACC, they prefer the original AC. You also have way more people playing the original Assetto Corsa now that didn't come into sim racing through ACC. They've played AC1 and now they go to this, and I think they will notice that this has those same ACC flaws. However, despite I think there being a lot more people that can notice these issues, unfortunately there's a hell of a lot of people that are totally unaware of the nature in that you have to preemptively drive, the total lack of front-end force feedback feel, and they don't understand how it's relevant or why it's important. And some of those people are influencers as well. So as a result, I think what really could happen here is this will just be the same as ACC, where it's going to be a lot easier to just mock me and tell people that have the similar view that I've got with the physics in this, and say to them, oh, you're just wrong, you just don't know, you've not driven a real car, you know, it's your wheel, whatever. And there'll be enough people that think it's fine, like there was with ACC, that this just stays the same. That I don't see the commercial benefit in bothering to do something different if there's a majority of people that are totally clueless and are totally happy. Why should the developer bother changing it? Like, look at iRacing. You can't drive iRacing naturally at the limit. You have to drive that preemptively. Basically, what happens is when you lean on the tyres, they flash heat, the grip falls off. Also, the tyres are incredibly sloppy in iRacing, so you basically just have to stay off them and drive with the pedals, which isn't universally a bad way to drive. That's a totally valid driving style in any sim, but it forces you to only drive in that one way, and you cannot drive actively and properly balanced slip, which is a crucial part of driving. In my opinion, that's like one of the most important skills of driving. iRacing doesn't support it, but you look how popular iRacing is, so, well, it doesn't matter. It'll chooch along, people subscribe, people are happy, and a lot of people just don't know any better, and they will believe the arguments from authority, from the developer, the marketing, and the few real drivers that are like, oh, iRacing's fine. So I can totally see that happening with this, and the reason why it's depressing, we had ACC for like 5 years, we've had iRacing for 15 years, and so this could be it. That really could be it. And really, what we need, like, you could just say, oh, well, just play AC if you like it so much, just play AMS1. Totally would do. The problem is that those AMS1 and AC do not have built-in ranked multiplayer. LFM in AC is quite nicely done. Good job, LFM guys. But yeah, you really need the ranked multiplayer if you want to actually do online racing, or really good AI, and they just don't have them. And, you know, you would also expect newer simulators to be better than simulators from 10 years ago as a general ballpark or benchmark. See that slide there? You could actually, I mean, you can't feel the video, but the force feedback was like tripping over itself there. It's insane, guys. And this is with the MX-5. It's worse in like the F40. So anyway, I kind of just feel like unless Kunos understand that there's a massive issue with the physics here, then we're done. It's done. It's done. They never, from my talking with Kunos, they seemed pretty happy with ACC for the most part. And you have to keep in mind, sims are very complicated. It's very hard to get sims to work in a very specific way, or to get the emergent driving property, especially when you've got more complex tyre models. So I'm not, you know, it's not an easy thing for developers to get right. Developers are always trying to do their best. But I got the impression that Kunos were really happy with ACC, whereas I do not know any real world good driver that can drive actively that thinks ACC isn't mental. And I think the same thing applies to EVO as well. And also, to me, ACC is just, I don't play it. I can't bear it. It's so soulless to drive for the reasons that I'm pointing out here. It kills the enjoyment of driving and balancing at the limit, which is the reason why AC1 is so bloody good. It's why AMS1 is so good. It's why RBR is so good. It's the crux of what really made Netcar Pro, Netcar for iVirtual Academy. It's what made Kunos stand out. It's what made Live for Speed really stand out. It is such a fundamental aspect of handling. Not having this, the force feedback for the front end, but also the balanced slip, it's like taking jumping out of Super Mario. It's that stupid to not have it. But if people don't notice, and most people are happy, what are you going to do? So yeah, it's just I'm sort of I really did care with ACC. Now I'm kind of like, well, you know, whatever. I'm too old. I'm too old. I just go and fly gliders. I still will play AC1. I'm optimistic still with this, and I do big credit to Kunos. They have polished this a lot. They put a lot of work into this over the previous version, so I'm not knocking their work. It's just a shame the end resultant handling is still absolutely terrible. But there you go. I would love to have continued the hype. I was a little bit hyped from Sim Racing Expo. I do really like that the cars don't just bin you now. So functionally that's good, and that is really nice. But yes, there you go. Right. That's it. Happy tea drinking. Take care. And goodbye.